A couple of other snippets which I got from the news which may or may not be relevant, but you can think about that. This was from World Israel News. The Hamas plan shared by other radical Islamic groups to drive the Jews out of Israel is having an unintended effect, as rising anti-Semitism around the globe after the Hamas massacre of Israelis on October the 7th is reportedly catalyzing Jews to consider moving to Israel. The chairman of the Jewish Agency for Israel, Major General Daron Almog, posited that because of rising anti-Semitism, 1 million new immigrants will emigrate to Israel over the next few years. Aliya and Integration Minister Ophir Sofer said the number of Jews considering moving to Israel increased by 81% in North America, 149% in France as of late October, World International News reported. Tens of thousands of Israelis who've been living abroad returned to Israel to join reserve army units to assist the war effort. Now, you can take that or leave it. I'm not sure whether that is the case. Some Jewish people might think, well, Israel looks more dangerous than Golders Green to go to. But you have to, that's what the World Israel News is reporting. Interesting possibility, because the Bible, it says that he who scattered Israel will gather him and keep him as a shepherd does his flock. One of the signs of the last days, the regathering of the Jewish people to the land of Israel, which is why this is not just any old conflict. This is the conflict which is leading up to the second coming of Jesus. Another interesting little piece of news I picked up. The Iron Beam. I have mentioned this before, but it's been back in the news. Quote from an article I got off the internet here. Israel reportedly accelerating deployment of the game-changing laser aerial defense system. Over the past 15 years, Israel has developed a sophisticated multi-layer defense system which has been put to active duty as it faced aerial threats from terror groups such as Hamas, Hezbollah, various pro-Iranian militias in Syria, and the Houthis in Yemen. So they've used the Iron Dome, which has shot down missiles. You've probably read about that. Among the recent developments, the Iron Beam system, developed from Rafael Advanced Defense Systems, has stood out as a major innovation with a high-powered laser to intercept rockets, anti-tank missiles, drones, and missile mortar shells. So there you are. You've got this thing which shoots out a laser, and it can be targeted on anything that's coming in and eliminate it. Recent tests of the Iron Beam in the Negev have shown promising results, with the system successfully intercepting various airborne threats. The heart of the system is an electric laser pointer capable of targeting and sending out a powerful laser beam invisible to the naked eye. In an interview with the Catalyst newspaper, one of Rafael's Iron Beam program managers expressed high ambitions for this new defense system, saying, "Our aim is to reach a state where the enemy feels totally powerless. He has to understand that our laser pointers, deployed where needed, intercept and destroy all his attacks almost instantly after they are launched, long before they reach Israeli territory or threaten anyone else. In such a scenario, the activation of warning sirens might even become unnecessary." You see what he's saying there? Saying that all these missiles which they've got in Lebanon and Hamas and all these people in Houthis and whatever, Yemen and the Iranians, this is going to be able to take them out. They've got it here. There's a missile going up, kind of covering over there, all the missiles coming in, boom, shoop, out, gone. Whether it's going to work, they haven't actually deployed it yet, but they're working on it, and the Israelis are pretty clever people. It's scheduled to be introduced in 2025, though the deployment is currently being accelerated for service as early as 2024. Now, if they've got that really up and running, it means that Israel can have a defense against all the missiles which Hezbollah's got. They become just a lot of useless tin, and can be a very cheap. Also, it's much cheaper than the Iron Dome system, which costs about $50,000 for every rocket fired. They can use, once this is installed, it can eliminate the missiles. Now, I don't know if it's totally been, I don't think it's been totally proved yet that it can work, but if it does, then it will be a very interesting development. But also give Israel a kind of security. which is interesting because if you read in the book of Ezekiel chapter 38 and 39, there is a passage where an army comes down from the north against Israel, what's called the Gog and Magog war. One of the reasons why people have said this can't possibly happen is because it said that at that time Israel will be living peaceably. Now that's how it's translated in the AV. But I looked it up in Hebrew. The word is not shalom. It's another word, betach. Betach actually means with security. So if Israel has some kind of a security system, i.e. this, then it has a defense against an aerial invasion coming from its enemies round about. Interestingly, if we look in Ezekiel 39, verse 3, it says, "Then I will knock the bow out of your left hand and cause the arrows to fall out of your right hand." Now, obviously, Ezekiel didn't know too much about missiles and anti-missile systems, so God put in his mind bows and arrows, which is a kind of metaphor, if you like, for some of this stuff. Is that what it's about? Well, interesting. If Israel has such a system working, there's also a guarantee of a demilitarized Palestine, which is policed by an international force. It could accept a temporary peace agreement. That's a possibility. So watch this space. Unfortunately, if it does, the Bible indicates this is another deception. It'll turn out to be a covenant with death, a conspiracy which will bring to power the Antichrist or the Assyrian, who is prophesied in a number of passages in the Bible. One interesting one which I found, which I'd never really seen before, is in Micah chapter 5. I may give a bit more of a talk on this, especially as we move up to that season of the year. We have the famous prophecy of Micah, which speaks about the birth, the one who's born in Bethlehem. "But you, Bethlehem Ephratah, though you are little among the thousands of Judah, yet out of you shall come forth to me the one who is to be ruler in Israel, whose going forth are from everlasting, from of old, from everlasting." A prophecy of someone who's going to be born in Bethlehem, is going to be a ruler in Israel, and whose origins, his going forth, are from me'olam in Hebrew, from everlasting. So how can he be born and yet have his origins from everlasting? Anybody here been born and yet have your origins from everlasting? No, you had your origins when your father and mother came together and conceived you. That's when you began. This is talking about someone who began in the days of eternity. So the only one who began in the days of eternity is God. So you have here a prophecy which speaks about the birth of the Messiah, who is also going to be a divine person, be born as the Son of God. Fulfilled in Yeshua, as we read in Matthew chapter 1. Goes on to say, "Therefore he shall give them up until the time that she who is in labor has given birth. Then the remnant of his people shall return to the children of Israel." Suggesting there's going to be some break between the relationship with this one and the children of Israel, and they're going to be scattered to the ends of the earth. Then he's going to return them to the land of Israel. Then it says, "He shall stand and feed his flock in the strength of the Lord, in the majesty of the name of the Lord his God. They shall abide, for now he shall be great to the ends of the earth, and this one shall be peace." In other words, that this one is speaking about here, who is Yeshua, at his second coming is going to stand in the land of Israel and bring peace to Israel. See that? "When the Assyrian comes into the land, when he treads our palaces, then we will raise up against him 7 shepherds and 8 princely men. Then they shall waste with the sword the land of Assyria and the land of Nimrod at its entrances. He shall deliver us from the Assyrian when he comes into our land. He shall tread within our borders." Okay, the Assyrian is used here as a type of the Antichrist. So saying when the Antichrist comes into our land and defiles it, then God's going to raise up this one who is our peace, who has already been before in the person of Yeshua, be born in Bethlehem, at his second coming, and he's going to bring our peace and deliver us from the Assyrian, from the Antichrist. What Jesus is going to do is his second coming. So it's an interesting scripture. It speaks about the first and second coming of Yeshua, the Messiah, and it tells us what we saw already in the passage from Isaiah, that the answer to Israel's problems in the end is not going to be in its technology and its alliances with America or with anybody else. It's with the Lord. And the situation which Israel is facing ultimately is going to need someone who's much stronger than they are, God, to come and bring them peace through the return of the Messiah, as you read in Zechariah chapter 14 and other passages of the Bible. which is the reason why when you see all these bad things happening, then don't despair, but look up because your redemption is drawing nigh and Jesus is coming. And although we see all these terrible things happening in Israel and Israel's insecurity, in the end, Israel's going to be delivered. And there are going to be various conspiracies, various attempts to wipe them out from nations round about them, alliances made which are contrary to God's will. And in the end, God is going to have the last word and save Israel and save the world from destruction.